Hi friends, my name is Jess. Welcome back to Books Past Bedtime. Today I'm bringing to you a book haul. This is going to be my first book haul of 2021. Yes, I've already acquired enough books to have a book haul. I have actually 23 books to show you. A lot of these I did get for Christmas, so that's why I have quite a few of them, although I did buy a couple for myself. Also included in this video, my lovely friend Katelyn got me 12 books and wrapped them up and put them in this sack for me. So I'm going to be unwrapping all of those with you here today. So stay tuned till the end if you want a little unwrapping portion. But first things first, let's just jump right into the YA books that I have recently acquired. So first I have a little stack of YA fantasies. The first of which is The Extraordinaries by T.J. Klune. This sounds like an adorable series. In this world there are superheroes and our main character Nick, he writes fan fiction about these superheroes. He's a big fan of them. He really wants to become one, and then he ends up meeting his very favorite superhero, and I think they have a romance maybe, and he realizes that he himself is extraordinary. I'm not really sure, but this past year I fell in love with T.J. Klune when I read The House in the Cerulean Sea, so I really want to read all his backlist. I have high hopes for this one, and this one was kindly gifted to me by my friend Paige, so thank you very much, Paige. I'm very excited to jump into this one. The next book I got was a book I received for Christmas, and that is The Infinite Noise by Lauren Shippen. This is almost another kind of superhero-esque book. Our main character is an atypical, which means he has enhanced abilities, and his ability is that he is an extreme empath. He can feel the emotions of everyone around him. This is really hard to deal with, especially being in high school, until he meets this boy Adam who his emotions just really click with, and he decides to become his friend and explore that connection a bit more. I think this might have some romance in it, and I've heard really good things about it. This also is a part of the Bright Sessions podcast, which I think this book was written based off that podcast. I haven't listened to the podcast, but it sounds like it has like a really expansive world, so I'm excited to check that podcast out and check this book out. For Christmas, I also got a copy of The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a book I've already read. I absolutely adore and love this series. It follows this big cast of characters who are obsessed with finding these ley lines where they think magic happens. There's ghosts, there's romance, there's friendship, there's Virginia. This is set in Virginia, which is one of the reasons I love it so much. And I did own this book, but I lent it to a friend, and I am no longer friends with that friend. So needless to say, I never got my book back. So I got this one now to replace the one I lost, and now my collection is again complete. Now I have a couple YA thrillers, the first of which is The Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. I don't know why that title was so hard for me to say, but this is kind of like a magical realism thriller. It sounds like there's these Sawkill girls, so this great group of 3 girls who are friends. They meet up on this island, and there's like horses and girls that disappear. I don't really know what this is about, but I've heard really good things. I'm pretty sure Kayla over at Books and Lala loves this book, so I would read anything she tells me to read. So that is why I've acquired this one. I also got Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. I believe this is about our main character whose friend disappears, and no one really cares that her friend has disappeared until they end up finding her 1 year later. I'm not really quite sure what all this book is about, but it sounds really good, right up my alley, and I'm very interested in picking this one up. And then I have a little stack of YA contemporaries, the first of which, If We Were Us by 𝗕𝗏. This was kindly sent to me by my friend Haley, so thank you very much, Haley, for sending me this. I really appreciate you. But this book is kind of like a love square, it sounds like. It sounds like these 2 main characters, everybody thinks they should be together, but they don't really like each other as more than friends. She actually likes his brother, and he actually likes a boy. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces going on, and they kind of have to work out who they are, who they're meant to be, and who they want to be with. So this sounds really cute. I've been really anticipating this. I followed this author on Instagram, and she also has a book based on a Taylor Swift song coming out soon, which can't wait. We love a fellow Swiftie, so I'm very excited to pick this one up, and I hope I love it. I also have Her Name in the Sky by Kelly Quinlan. This was kindly sent to me by my friend Nat over at Nerdy Nat Reads. Thank you so much, Nat, for sending me this. I appreciate you so much. I am honestly really not sure what this one is about. It doesn't have a description on the back. The blurb on the back says, "Love ultimately wins, Hannah. Love ultimately saves." I'm not really sure what it's about, but I do believe it's about queer girls, which is why I wanted it. Kelly Quinlan also wrote Late to the Party, which was a book that I read in 2020 and really loved, so I have high hopes for this one, and I hope I love it as much as her most recent release. For Christmas, I also got Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. This is a YA contemporary romance following our main character Prue, who is very much an overachiever. She's also a very judgmental person, and she suddenly gains the ability to make karma real, and so she can enact karmic justice around those around her. But I think she finds out that judging people isn't all it's cracked up to be, and ends up falling in love with this boy who she instantly just wrote off. And I think this sounds really cute and I'm really hyped for it. I've never read a Marissa Meyer book before, but this one sounds way more up my alley than any of her other releases, so I'm excited to check this one out. I also have here Verona Comics by Jennifer Dugan. This was kindly sent to me by my friend Kirsten. Kirsten, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. Kirsten loved this book, so I am very excited to pick it up. It is about these two characters whose respective families own competing comic book shops, so they kind of have a Romeo and Juliet-esque romance, forbidden romance. Their families don't want them to be together, but they really like each other, so I think they end up together, and it sounds really cute and fun, and I'm very excited to pick this one up as well. Alright, so those are all of the YA titles that I have acquired. Let's jump right into the adult titles. First, I have a huge stack of adult mystery thrillers, so let's get through those first. The first of those that I have here is City on Fire by Garth Risk Hallberg. I have never heard of this book before, but I found it in my local used bookstore and I was like, that looks really cool. And I saw that it had like multimedia elements and I was like, I have to have that because I'm obsessed with books with multimedia elements. So I immediately picked it up, and also the synopsis sounds really intriguing. Basically, it takes place in New York City and there's this murder that happens in Central Park, and it follows these two separate families who both are somehow connected to this murder and they're trying to figure out what's going on. I don't really know a ton about it as I've never heard about it, and the synopsis is kind of vague. I know that it takes place in the 70s and what I told you, but other than that, I'm not really sure, but I'm very intrigued by it. I'm excited to read it. It's kind of chunky, so I'm not sure quite when I'll get to it, but I think it sounds really cool and I'm very excited to read it. Also, as a newly minted thriller fanatic, I thought it was inappropriate that I had never read a Gillian Flynn book, so I picked up 3 of her most popular books. Number 1, of course, being Gone Girl, which I think is about this husband and wife and she disappears and he's trying to figure out where she went, or vice versa, something like that. I really have no idea, and I've never been spoiled for this. I've never seen the movie or anything, so I am really excited to check it out and see what's going on because it sounds really cool, and I feel like it very much helped popularize modern thrillers. I could be wrong. I could have just totally made that up, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I also picked up Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn, which is my mom's personal favorite Gillian Flynn, and this is actually Gillian's debut novel. Is her name Gillian or Jillian? I think it's Gillian. I think that's what people say. Anyway, this book basically follows this reporter who was recently released from a psych hospital, and she is assigned to cover the murders of these 2 young girls, and she finds herself really connecting to these girls, even somewhat too strongly. This is super short and it sounds really thrilling, and I can't wait to pick this one up. And I also picked up Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. This book follows this girl whose family was brutally murdered in front of her when she was younger. She testified that her brother did it and he has been in jail, and then this club tracks her down that's been obsessed with this incident, and they really hope to free Ben, and so they start questioning her, and she gets into some more hot water and finds herself on the run from a killer again. This book sounds wild and I'm very excited to pick this one up as well. I am not sure what I've been missing out without reading Gillian Flynn, but I'm very excited to find out what they're all about. Did that even make sense? I don't know what I just said. I also picked up The Police by 𝗂𝗍𝗂. I am not quite sure about this one. I kind of feel like I've heard some weird things about 𝗂𝗍𝗂 recently, so I'm not quite sure that this is something I'm going to get to anytime soon. But this is basically the story where all of these police officers end up dead or murdered in some capacity, and they're trying to figure out who is the killer, who is the perpetrator of these crimes. And I think one of the best detectives is also missing, so there's that. I'm not really quite sure what all is going on with this book, but it was only $1.75 at the used bookstore, so I picked it up. Next, I picked up The Trespasser by Tana French. This follows this investigator named Antoinette who is investigating the murder of this woman. It should be cut and dry. The rest of the force wants her to arrest the boyfriend, but she has suspicions that it was not the boyfriend and that this case is not as cut and dry as it appears. I have not read a Tana French before, although her synopses always really appeal to me, so I'm really interested in this one and have high hopes for it. I also picked up The Kept Woman by Karen Slaughter. I read Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter last year and it was one of my favorite books of the year, so now naturally I want to read everything that Karen Slaughter has written, and so I picked this one up at the used bookstore. It sounds so good. Basically, our main detective characters find this body of this man, but at the crime scene they identify blood of another victim and realize that there are bloody footprints leading away from the scene that likely belong to a woman who will be dead very soon if they do not find her. So the question is, where does she go? Why does she run away? What is going on? This sounds so good and I have such high hopes for it. I really feel like Karen Slaughter can do no wrong, even though I've only read one of her books, so I'm very excited to get to this one and hope it's amazing. I also picked up The Couple Next Door by Shara Lapina, which I'm kind of afraid of. I picked this up because my friend Haley absolutely loves it, but then my friends Nitty and Chandler read this recently and hated it. And I feel like it's on Cindy's worst books of the year list as well, so I don't know what to think. I feel like out of all of those people, me and Haley have the closest similar reading taste, so hopefully I like this book as much as Haley did, but we shall see. So this is basically about this couple who appears to have the perfect life, but while they are at a dinner party next door, a terrible crime is committed in their house. They are obviously obviously suspected to know more than they're letting on, but we don't really quite know what's going on. So I am very interested in this one. It's super short, so even if I hate it, it won't be that much of a loss, but I kind of love reading books that are controversial, so I'm excited to see where I fall in my opinions on this one. Another book I have never heard of before that I decided to pick up is The Whisper Network by 𝗦𝘂𝗽𝗶𝗍. This is a true crime-esque story. It follows this detective who finds this circle of severed arms all belonging to girls ages 8 to 13 whose bodies are nowhere to be found, and it's like, what kind of cult shit is going on here? This book, when I read the description, intrigued me so much I had to get it even though I've heard absolutely nothing about it. It sounds crazy and I very much am interested in reading this one as soon as possible. And the last mystery thriller that I've acquired is The Last House Guest by Megan Miranda. So this book follows two friends, Sadie and Avery. They have been friends for a long time. One girl lives on this island in Maine full time, the other comes in the summers because it's like a vacation town. Sadie ends up committing suicide, but a lot of the people in the town seem to blame Avery. Avery is intent on clearing her name, so she has to find out what actually happened, what actually led to this event. This sounds so cool. I love books that are set in vacation towns, so I feel like this will have a really good and interesting setting, and it's very intriguing to me, so I'm excited to see if I like it. I feel like Megan Miranda is kind of a controversial thriller author. Some people really love her, some people hate her, some people love some books she wrote, some people hate others, so I am interested in this one. I've heard pretty good things about this one in particular, so hopefully I enjoy it. I do have one horror book on this list, and that is Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. This was one of my most anticipated releases of 2020, and I finally have it in my hands, and she is freaking gorgeous. Like, this is the prettiest book I've ever seen, also one of the biggest books I've ever seen. She thick, but I am so excited. Oh my god. So this book follows these actresses who are starring in this cult film, and this film is being filmed on this property where it used to be like an old school and girls died back in the day. There's also lesbians in this. Lesbian cult horror book. Like, what could be better than this? Like, I'm so excited to read this. I cannot wait. My friend Nick gave this to me for Christmas, so thank you very much, Nick. I'm very excited. Cannot wait to freaking read this book. And now let's talk about some romance. My friend Nick also gifted me Royal Holiday by Jasmine Guillory. This is like the fourth book, I believe, in Jasmine's The Wedding Date series, which I have been slowly collecting, and I think I own all of them now. I do. I need to read them. I think this book is about this girl who goes to England for the first time, and she falls for a royal secretary, for the king or queen or prince or somebody. This sounds really cute. All of Jasmine Guillory's romances sound really cute. I definitely am going to do a reading vlog of them soon, so look out for that. I'm very excited to pick this one up. Thank you, Nick. And the other romance I have recently acquired is Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. This is a really cute lesbian romance, and it is between this one girl who is very like mathematical by the book. I think she's an accountant or something, and this other girl who has her head in the stars is really into astrology. They kind of seem like they should clash, but I think they end up really working well together. I think this sounds so cute, and I'm always looking for a cute lesbian romance, so I'm excited to pick this one up. And last but not least, I have a little stack of fiction. The first of which is A Woman Is No Man by 𝗕𝗏 This book takes place in dual timelines. One timeline is in 1990 Palestine, where a young girl who is very bookish and interested in learning gets placed in an arranged marriage and shipped off to America. And then the second timeline takes place in 2008, where a young girl in America really wants to go to college, but she is being encouraged to submit to an arranged marriage. I kind of have a feeling that it's like mother and daughter, but I'm not quite sure if that's how they're connected. But I've heard amazing things about this book. It sounds so interesting to me, and I'm very excited to pick it up. I also finally got A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. I have loved Anxious People in Beartown by Frederick Bachman. They were two of my favorite books of 2020, so I'm very excited to pick this one up. This one is my mom's personal favorite. I'm excited to read it just for that reason. I think this basically follows this curmudgeon-y old man who hates the world, but then he has new neighbors move in across the street and form some unlikely friendships that make him see the world in a different light. I think this book is going to be an emotional read, and I am very excited to pick it up. For Christmas, I also got Normal People by Sally Rooney. I have a lot of friends who absolutely love and adore this book, so I'm very excited to pick it up. I think it's basically about these two main characters who fall in and out of love over a period of time. I think their relationship kind of starts out secret, and then it grows from there. I'm not really sure. I think this is very much a study of human nature and relationships, more so than it is like a romance or anything like that, but I have heard such great things about it, and I really want to finally check it out. And then I got two books from Book of the Month in January, the first of which is Outlawed by Anna North. I'm pretty sure like this is a feminist western, and it sounds so cool. I'm very excited to pick it up. It's very short, and I think I'm going to absolutely love it. And then I also picked The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. This book sounds incredible and right up my alley. It is about two men who fall in love, but it's very much complicated because they are both slaves at the time. So I think this is going to be a very traumatic story, a very emotional story. So I will have to properly prepare myself, but I think I'm going to absolutely love this one. Okay, so those are all of the books I acquired over the past couple months. Now let's jump into the unwrapping portion of this. I do just want to say a really quick thank you again to Katelyn. This is such an awesome thing. I'm so excited to unwrap all these books and see what I have got. All right, I'm gonna start with the smallest one. It's pretty little. And also, like, look at this paper. It's so cute. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like red and brown, like craft paper. It's really cute. This is so fun. I love unwrapping things. Oh, she's got the pretty yellowed pages. It is The Wedding by Nicholas Sparks. This is basically the follow-up to The Notebook, the daughter of Noah and Allie from The Notebook. Her name is Jane and she's married to this man, kind of fallen out of love with him, but he really still loves her a lot and wants to prove his love to her, so I think that's what this book is about. I definitely had a Nicholas Sparks phase growing up, but I don't believe this is one that I ever read when I was having that phase, so I'm very excited to get it. Thank you, Katelyn. This is so fun. Next up, this is a hardcover, I think, but it's not huge, so maybe a YA? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So this is apparently the Joan Rivers biography. It's called I Hate Everyone Starting With Me. I loved watching Joan Rivers growing up. She always cracked me up, so I'm actually very excited to read this. Hopefully it's funny. She always was like just towed the line of going a little bit too far, you know, but she was ultimately really hilarious, so that's so fun. I love that. All right, next one. This feels like a paperback. This is called The Astronaut Wives Club by Lily Koppel. So this is basically what it sounds like. This book follows the lives of the wives of the Mercury 7 astronauts. They kind of were just military wives and then they were thrust into the limelight, meeting and having tea with Jackie Kennedy, all that kind of thing. So this sounds really interesting. I'd never heard of this, but it sounds really cool. There's some fun pictures in here, and I have been wanting to read more nonfiction, so this is perfect. This sounds really fascinating. And another one, this one is also another paperback. This is Mindy Kaling's autobiography called Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me? I have not read this yet, so I'm very excited to pick it up. I am a huge fan of The Office and Mindy Kaling, so this book sounds like a lot of fun. I know a lot of people like Mindy Kaling's books, so oh, it's got pictures from The Office in it too. Oh my god, this looks so cute. I'm very excited to read this one too. This one is a hardcover. This is Mindy Kaling's other memoir, Why Not Me? I think this is basically about Mindy's relationships, her romantic relationships, her friendships, and how she finds contentment and excitement in her adult life. These are so fun. I'm very excited to read and learn more about Mindy Kaling because she is somebody that I really enjoy. So this is so cool. This one's a paperback, but it's a little bit bigger, so. She got me Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty, which is something I do not own, but I have really been wanting to read. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read this one. I read 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty last year and really loved it, and I feel like this is her most popular one, so I am very excited. I think it's about this murder that takes place in this neighborhood and all of these like rich mommies trying to figure out what's going on and who did it. Something like that. I think it has elements of like suburban drama and also a murder, so I think it sounds really cool and I'm very excited to pick this one up. I've heard nothing but good things, and now I will finally be able to watch the TV show. Hardback. This one's thick. We have another Nicholas Sparks. I also have not read this one, so Katelyn did amazing picking all books that I have not read yet. I think this is like a chance encounter romance. I think this guy in this story is kind of a little bit troubled trying to get his way on the straight and narrow. The girl is very much on the straight and narrow, but she also has a troubling past, and I think they kind of come together and have a romance. It sounds really cute. Me and Katelyn recently watched like The Last Song together and stuff, so I think that might be where these are coming from, and I love that. I love that for us. Another hardcover. Oh, this is one I have never heard of. It is called Nightfall by Nelson DeMille. Okay, this says based on true events. At dusk on July 17th, 1997, on a deserted Long Island beach, a man and woman engage in adulterous sex in front of a video camera. Suddenly, a terrible blast lights up the dark summer sky. 𝗕WA Flight 800 has just exploded in midair with 230 souls on board, and the video camera has recorded the last moments of the doomed airliner. Sorry it got so dark. I don't know what the heck just happened, but anyway, this sounds really cool. I have not heard of it before, but it sounds friggin' awesome, and I'm very excited to pick this one up. Thank you, Caitlin. This is like exactly my taste. Airplanes, thrilling books, following detectives. I love it. Sorry if the angle changed. I just had to pick my camera up off the ground. What is going on with the lighting? Anyway, we have 4 more books left to open, so let's get to it. Another hardcover. Got it. This one is Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I have already read this one. It is about this girl who has this disease where she cannot leave her house. She's allergic to the outdoors, and I liked it pretty well, and now I can add it to my collection. These are tall now. We're getting into the big guys, the big guns. Ooh, this one is The Last Tutor by Philippa Gregory. This one says, Jane Grey was Queen of England for 9 days. Her father and his allies crowned her instead of the dead king's half-sister, Mary Tudor, who quickly mustered an army, claimed her throne, and locked Jane in the Tower of London. When Jane refused to betray her Protestant faith, Mary sent her to the executioner's block, where Jane transformed her father's greedy power grab into tragic martyrdom. Learn you to die was the advice Jane wrote to her younger sister Catherine, who has no intention of dying. She intends to enjoy her beauty and her youth and fall in love, but she is heir to the insecure and infertile Queen Mary, and then to her half-sister Queen Elizabeth, who will never allow Catherine to marry and produce a Tudor son. When Catherine's pregnancy betrays her secret marriage, she faces imprisonment in the Tower only yards from her sister's scaffold. This sounds really good. I know Caitlin is really into the Tudors and that era of history, so I'm very excited to pick this one up. It actually sounds really, really good, and yeah. Okay, second to last one. This one is very heavy, so interested to see what this one is. This one is 1776 by David McCulloch. I think this book is about the American Revolution and the soldiers who marched with George Washington, and also the writing of the Declaration of Independence. I think it's pretty much historical. I think it's nonfiction. I don't think it's a fiction book, but it sounds really cool. I do love history, and I know Caitlin loves history as well, so I'll have to ask her if she's read this and see what she thinks about it, because I think it sounds very interesting and I'm very excited to pick it up. And we have made it to our final book, ending on a hardcover. And we have Yes Please by Amy Poehler. This is a memoir by Amy Poehler. It's a collection of little stories and vignettes about her life, and it sounds really fun. Amy Poehler is a really funny person, so I'm very excited to read this. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm definitely wanting to read more nonfiction this year, and celebrity memoirs seem like a fun place to start, so that is awesome. So thank you very much, Caitlin, for all of these books. That was so fun unwrapping them all. And so I have a ton of new books to add to my TBR, which is always great. Having too many books on your TBR is not a thing. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here. Make sure to check out the description box. I have a lot of relevant, fun links down there. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you want to hang out with me more often. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of me. And that is going to be all for today. So thank you again for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.